In this video, I will be sharing 3 super powerful productivity habits to help you unlock time and financial freedom in your life. These 3 habits work extremely well on their own, but when combined, they form an extremely powerful trio. That is because these 3 tools and habits are essentially your daily are extremely zoomed in. You'll look back on that across a 7-day period, and your allows you to zoom that out completely and look across multiple weeks and days and keep that zoomed out vantage point to make sure that everything aligns. I also have an added free bonus at the end of the video if you stick around for that. My name is Emil Nell, and I went from being overwhelmed and burnt out in 2021 to being able to run my business with strategic clarity, energy, and scalable systems. I have been able to unlock more than 20 hours every single week, all while doing more, moving the needle on my growth and objectives, and spending more time with the people that matter most to me. So if you are interested in unlocking time and financial freedom, then this video is for you. The first habit on this list is using a monthly tracker. A monthly tracker is used to plan your month ahead from a 30,000-foot vantage point, meaning that you can zoom out of the day-to-day and plan on a monthly basis rather than getting caught up in the day-to-day things. You can lay out your tasks for every single week in a structured manner and then boil down into the day-to-day activities that are needed to achieve these objectives. You can track all of your essential habits in one place, things like running, reading, or any other habit that you'd like to form. You can also keep track of your deep work hours as well as the amount of time that you spend sleeping every single night to make sure that you keep everything in check. I personally use a handwritten notebook for this, but you are welcome to use any method that you find suitable for yourself. Now, as I mentioned, all 3 of these habits work fine on their own, but they do become extremely powerful when you use them in conjunction. And this will make a bit more sense when I dive into the next 2 habits. Being able to plan my month in advance and having the ability to look at that from a zoomed out perspective allows me to make sure what I'm putting on my plate and that I can actually get to everything comfortably. It also has the added benefit of ensuring that everything I work on aligns with my core objectives. Now, the mistake a lot of people make, and I made this mistake myself for years, is that they plan their day on the fly. They get into the office in the morning and they start writing down a bunch of things on a to-do list, and at 5 o'clock none of these things or very little of them are actually achieved. The reason for this is we get sidetracked, we get pulled into random meetings, and we can get caught up in hallway discussions. All of these things distracting us from the goals and objectives we set for each day, and in turn causing us to not be as productive as we had originally envisioned for that specific day. Now, I'm not sure if that sounds familiar, but it is definitely very applicable to me a couple of years ago. Now, being able to plan your schedule a month ahead alleviates this to a large extent because you can plan your days around what is important to you before your schedule starts filling up. The important thing here is to prioritize that which is important to you before everyone else comes with what is important to them. Now, this brings me to the second habit of today's video, and that is the weekly review. Now, in the weekly review, we do 2 things. You look back at the past week and you look at areas that you could have improved. This could be things like attending less meetings, sleeping better, or just sticking to your habits more strictly. The second portion of the weekly review focuses on the week in front of you. This is where you look at everything that has been pre-scheduled in your week and you make sure that that aligns with your strategic objectives. You also focus on the areas of improvement that you've highlighted from the past week. So if you wanted to get more sleep or stick to certain habits more strictly, this would be where you focus on improving that. The great part about the weekly review is it slots in perfectly with the monthly tracker. Each week's planning from your monthly tracker feeds directly into your weekly review, and this will align with the activities that you prioritize for that specific week. And you can also focus on things like your sleeping patterns or the amount of deep work that you achieve on a weekly basis. And these are typically the type of things that you would flag in your weekly review, which you can then improve on in the coming week. I prefer to do my weekly reviews on Sunday afternoons where things are nice and quiet, and then I try and review my week simply by keeping an open mind and being really open to what I think and feel in that specific moment. This one habit in specific has played an immense role in freeing up my time every single week, because I am able to remove the stumbling blocks before I even enter the week. And I also ensure that I'm able to work on the things that I've highlighted for that week and the things that truly matter and drive my progress on growth. The last habit for this video is a to-do list. Now, I know what you're thinking. Please, not another to-do list. Those things do not work. And I can guarantee you that a couple of years back, I would have thought and said exactly the same thing. Until I realized that I had been using to-do lists completely incorrectly. You see, people make the mistake of adding too much to their plate or being too vague. Let me explain. Let's assume you have to get a large task done before the end of the week, and I'm going to use the example of launching a website for that. So your website needs to go live this week, and you see that you've got a gap on Tuesday to get to that. Lo and behold, you get sucked into the week, and by 5 o'clock, nothing has happened and you haven't made any progress on your objective, which means technically that to-do lists do not work. But if you had instead looked at breaking the task down and not being so vague, you might have scheduled Tuesday for looking at everything from titles to brand colors to formatting, while on Wednesday looking at uploading all of the imagery and photography, and Thursday making sure that all of your SEO is in place. You see, this way you can now allocate different tasks to the main task across multiple days, while ensuring that you also get to the other things on your plate. It's very easy to underestimate the amount of time and effort that goes into completing specific tasks, and if we actually break them down into their simpler forms, the timeline allocated and required becomes much more realistic, and we can actually slot them into the other things that we need to get done in a day. But when we bite off too much or we're too vague and just put this broad thing on our to-do list, many a times you will realize that these are the things that just do not get done. Now, another way that you can make your to-do list more effective is by aligning them with your weekly review and your monthly tracker. Now, at the start of this video, I mentioned to you that each of these habits work perfectly fine on their own, but when combined and used in conjunction, they become an extremely powerful trio. That is because these 3 tools and habits are essentially the same thing, but viewed at different zoomed out perspectives. Your daily to-do lists are extremely zoomed in. Your weekly reviews look back on that across a 7-day period, and your monthly tracker allows you to zoom that out completely and look across multiple weeks and days and keep that zoomed out vantage point to make sure that everything aligns. That is because your monthly planning will guide your weekly planning, and your weekly planning will in turn guide your daily tasks lists. Now, I've been implementing this exact system for many years now, and I cannot explain to you in words how much more productive I have become simply by doing this and using these 3 habits in tools in conjunction with one another every single day. This is because I'm able to focus on my core objectives and make sure that what I work on a daily basis works towards the larger objectives of my core goals. It also allows me to better fit and adapt my schedule while ensuring that I work on the things that drive the needle on my personal growth. Now, I mentioned that I have a free bonus at the end of the video if you stick around, and here it is. In the link in my description box down below, you will find a link to actually get all 3 of these tools for free. So be sure to go and get that. and I promise that you will find an extreme amount of value just by doing that. The true power of the success of these 3 systems and tools is forming them as part of your daily, weekly, and monthly habits and rituals. The crazy thing is that maintaining this and sticking to it takes less than 30 minutes every single day, but it has this extremely powerful effect of having you stick to the things that you deem important. And as I've said throughout the video, it gives you that insight on different zoomed out levels. You're able to focus on your day-to-day. You're able to review that on a weekly basis and improve on the things that you went wrong on, and you're able to replicate the things that went right. And on a monthly basis, you are able to zoom out and look at things that might block you or might cause you to stumble well in advance and actually eliminate that completely. Now, if you found value in this video, I would really appreciate it if you can hit that like button. That is the algorithm's way of just understanding that this is valuable content, and this way it allows more people to get access to this information. If you would like to see more of my content in your feed, I'd encourage you to please subscribe to the channel. If you are interested in finding out how unlocking time freedom has completely changed my life in under 90 days, then please go and check out this video